relevancy and allocation of time. We all want to be here today if this issue is not significant to us in some way, but we as an association should not waste our time with resolutions that, while have been edited, still contain no facts, minimal citations, and a skewed history that requires more time than what can be allocated to dissecting and understanding the wholeness of the issue than the time that we have as elected representatives. This issue is complex and deserves complex solutions. So why then is the only time that both groups come together is at the Senate floor to make decisions for us? We cannot let this divisive resolution tear our community apart, ASUCR representatives. I ask you here tonight to reject this campaign and vote no, or at the very least abstain from voting on this resolution. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. So once you start talking is once we press on time. So when you're walking up, we are not timing you during that time that you are walking up. Does that make sense? Yes. Hopefully. Sorry. You may. Sorry.
Hello, Senators. Thank you for your time here today. I'm Ellen Horowitz, President of UCR's Hello. I want to highlight why this resolution is dangerous to our campus community. We are witnessing a tremendous divide in groups across our country currently, and the responsibility rests on the shoulders of minority communities like ours to bridge these gaps. When I went to the No Ban, No Wall protest yesterday, I stood with my Muslim, Mexican, Native, LGBTQIA+, undocumented, and immigrant brethren to support the fact that unity is what holds us together in these dark times. Until I felt isolated, until I felt the eyes of my friends around me as the Palestinian struggle was brought up. As I, a white passing minority member, felt that I had no place supporting my fellow minorities. Even though I stood there for their justice and proud to have my voice join theirs, I felt alone. We should not let a Middle Eastern vegetable ban divide us. Instead, we should be working on initiatives for our campus groups to come together, partnerships for peace, instead of isolating the Jewish and pro-Israel communities. I think we can both acknowledge the fact that both of our communities have suffered enough tears, blood, and war. By boycotting hummus through academically and morally false facts, by defining what anti-Semitism and Jewish hatred is, this is divisive. Being pitted against each other by governments and people who claim to lead us is ignorant of us. But I will not sit here and be told that I should be isolated more than any other Highlander. I hold my hand out to you, to all of us, to help. We hold out our Polish, Ethiopian, Indian, Mexican, Israeli, Persian, Spanish, German, Yemenite, and American hands to you. 4 times have we had our hands pushed away politically. Once in 2008, when Prime Minister Ehud Olmert offered up a generous plan that would have given the Palestinians 99.5% of the West Bank, in addition to giving up Israeli control over Jerusalem, and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas rejected it. Once last year, when Israeli Prime Minister said that he was willing to return to the negotiating table with exactly 0 preconditions and was rejected. 3, that Israel has released hundreds of Palestinians from jail, including men who with their own hands killed Israeli women and children in the hopes that earnest negotiations and a real and lasting peace would result. And lastly, the last time Israel moved an entire population out of a Palestinian territory in 2005 in Gaza, the area was overtaken by Hamas terrorists who then used it as a base from which to launch rockets at civilian populations for over a decade. But I stand here, and I will be damned if I stop reaching out to these people. I beg of you to begin dialogue with us, to find things that we can work on together. Our power for peace is stronger when we add our powers together, when we sit down at a table together. Look no further than this room. We're so separated. Look how far we have to go. Let's work on something that is actually going to work. We cannot let this divisive resolution tear our community apart. ASUCR representatives, I beg of you here tonight to reject this campaign of hate and vote no, or at very least abstain from voting on this resolution. Thank you.
We all have 30 seconds left. 36 seconds.
How much time?
36 seconds.
36 seconds. All right. Okay, so I want to bring up a couple of items. I have here the Constitution of SJP. I have it, I want to pass it around for you guys. I just want to bring up a couple of points from it. In their purpose for organization, they say the establishment of one democratic state over all of modern-day Israel and Palestine. That is against the will of both Israelis and Palestinians, who, the majority of both of whom want a 2-state solution. I have here a poll of both sides.
10 seconds.
Alright, and the other thing is they have a section on grounds for removal of members where they say
Time.
love.
But you can definitely pass it around. We would love to look at it. Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to
Hello, my name is Mohammed Ibrahim. I am studying bioengineering and I'm a Palestinian student here at UCR. A point being brought up is that this issue is too complicated to discuss. Saying that is a direct insult to the Senate. You are some of the best and brightest students we have here, and were chosen to be the representatives and leaders of the students at this university. At one point in history, ideas like abolishing slavery, giving women the right to vote, and the end of racial segregation were ideas that were considered controversial or complicated. What isn't controversial or complicated is human rights. By selling Sabra hummus, UCR is facilitating the oppression of the Palestinian people. Do not sit here and be told that your action of taking Sabra off the shelves has no significant effect on Israel getting funding. Small actions do have big impacts. If you are told otherwise, think about Rosa Parks, who when asked to give up her seat to a white man, she simply said, no. Next time you're in Scotty's, look at Sabra hummus and remember the people who are now homeless due to illegal Israeli settlements, the millions of Palestinian refugees around the world, those who are now permanently physically disabled, and the over 2,000 Palestinian children that have been killed by Israeli Defense Forces since the year 2000. This is not about anti-Semitism. This is not about hatred. This is not about targeting a group on campus. This is not about hummus. This is about justice.
Hello, my name is Janine Kiswani. Israel was founded on the ethnic cleansing and the mass genocide of the Palestinian people in 1948. And throughout the years, it has only gotten worse for the Palestinians. The occupying force that is Israel has taken up more land, put humiliating checkpoints, created apartheid through building a wall that has inspired the very wall Donald Trump is planning to build between the U.S. and Mexican border. One cannot be against the Trump wall, but believe the Palestinians should continue to live in what easily be called a cave of prison. To deny all the illegal atrocities that the Israeli government has done to the Palestinian people is to deny the very existence of Israel, because its origin has been rooted in the demise of the Palestinians. Sabra is a company that openly supports and funds the Israeli Defense Force, and we sell their product here at UCR, an institution of higher education, diversity, and integrity. A place that allows people to gain the knowledge to not only think for themselves, but to critically analyze and critique the situation, and to come to an agreement and a solution based on the facts and information presented. I'm a proud Highlander that will not stand for injustice on or off campus, and I will not let my school be tainted by the blood of Palestinians by allowing Sabra to be sold on campus. I will not allow my school to support the genocide of my people, and I will not allow nor stand for the metaphorical occupation happening on campus because of the interests of off-campus entities that are being put before the interests of the students. I ask you, the senators, today to assess the facts and information that we have given you. Use campus materials and see the truth for yourself, and to come to terms that by selling Sabra, myself and several of my peers will become complicit in supporting their cause, and in supporting the cause, in supporting their cause, we will become the vehicles that drive apartheid, murder, and illegal settlements. Let us become the crusaders of justice and witness again the ripple effects that our institution can have on improving the human condition of our world.
My name is Tamara, and I'm here to express my support for this resolution. I strongly believe that as U.S. citizens, or generally members of society that values justice and freedom so much, we share a huge responsibility to stand up against injustice and inhumane crimes carried out or supported by both our government and foreign governments as well. Our student activists here at UCR, who are supporting this resolution, share the sole purpose of defending human rights that have been violated for over decades now. By passing this resolution, we as a student community would be refusing to support a company and a product that is so highly involved and supportive of Israeli military assaults on Palestinian lives and control over Palestinian lives through discrimination and occupation. We would be defending human rights and freedom by standing up against apartheid and brutality. This is not about hummus, this is about peaceful resistance, which I believe and many of my fellow students believe that should be encouraged on every college campus. Thank you.
I have here a post from the Jerusalem Post that says the Strauss Group on its website had support for the IDF and for the military on its website. It later removed it due to boycotting and posted a new section saying that the sales division of Strauss Israel has made a contribution to the men and women who serve in the Golani Brigade. I have also from other articles.
Time.
So, may I pass them?
Yes. Yeah. Anyone else for public forum not regarding the issue on hand right now? No? If not, we will move on to the next item, which is committee reports, starting off with Legislative Review Committee. The first Senate resolution will be W17-0007, resolution in requesting the removal of Sabra from UCR campus and condemning administrative repression of pro-Palestine activism. I will hand it off to our President Pro Tempore Lee, who is the chair of Legislative Review Committee. So, I trust that you all have read the resolution, and at this time, if you have nothing to add as the chair of OSC, we'll move it forward to two different sides. So we will begin with Michael, your side. And it will be 10 minutes. So, senators, at this time, I would advise you all, while they all are presenting, please write down questions if you have any. These are clarification questions. Clarification. No leading questions, so they are not presenting new material when it's question time, but clarification. So if you have something that you would like to ask them to elaborate more on, or to clarify, that's okay.
That's what we're doing right now.
Yes, so while they're doing their presentation, please write down questions that you have, so you can ask them. And then when you begin, 10 minutes.
Alright, so I gave you guys the documents, if you guys are passing them around. So the other section I wanted to highlight was the grounds for removal from the membership of SJP. They have their love for the apartheid Zionist state and spy or informant for the UCR administration or government agency. Now the way this works is that's setting up a system where they can silence anyone who disagrees with them. What does love mean? What does being a spy or informant mean? It means that if you disagree with their tactics or what they want to do, they can kick you out on the flimsiest of evidence, right? It means that you can just be thrown out with no charges or anything, which is the same, which is a dictatorship, right? And the whole bit about a spy is paranoid, that they think they're going to be infiltrated by Zionist-loving Jews or whoever it is, all right? The world is not black and white. There's no perfectly correct solutions to anything, right? Especially not this one, okay? Rejecting Sabra Hummus from, removing it from campus shelves isn't going to help Israeli Arabs, it isn't going to help people living in Palestinian territories, and it's not going to help Palestinians anywhere else, right? And SJP has rejected working with us to make concrete actions to help everybody involved in the situation and to advance the needs of everybody. They don't even bother to support what people that they claim to support. They don't support the two-state solution. So, what I'm asking you guys to do is to reject this resolution and help us work together to produce a new system and work to better the lives of everyone involved. Thank you.
Hey everybody. So last week I came to you all saying that we all know this resolution is not about hummus. And today, SJP came and said that we all know this resolution is not about hummus. So what are we all doing here? Anyway, so I came here with a letter from the Graduate Student Association, a group of just equally talented and intelligent individuals like you all, faced with the same issue. So I'm passing out a letter right now to see what they had to say about the issue. They said, number one, while we sympathize with anyone receiving unfair treatment, the issue is much too complex to arrive at a fair and honest and fair conclusion in the relatively short time allocated to the issue. Each meeting, professors at UCR alone spend an entire quarter consisting of 30 hours of classroom instruction and additional readings on this issue. We are not even able to scratch the surface of such a complex issue in our monthly hour-long meetings. Number two, given our inability to treat this subject with the nuance and complexity it deserves, the GSA General Council voted to abstain from voting on issues recommending or opposing BDS. And number three, we represent both Palestinian and Israeli graduate students. So GSA wishes to support all our graduate students and will continue to advocate on their behalf to improve the graduate student experience on campus and part of the UC. So I hope while you all are making this decision, this aids you, as I believe that we have a lot to learn from our graduate counterparts. Thank you all so much.
Good evening, Senators. I know that this is not an easy decision for you to make tonight, so I want to spend a few minutes to explain the true motives of the BDS movement, of which SJP is a member, and illuminate some inexcusable falsehoods from this resolution. So let's start by examining a few quotes from leading BDS and SJP activists. So Omar Barghouti, who is the co-founder of the BDS movement, stated the following in a panel discussion called Strategies for Change. We oppose a Jewish state and any part of Palestine. In an article published on the website Al-Akbar in English, Asad Al-Bukhalil, a leading BDS activist, stated that the real aim of BDS is to bring down the state of Israel. And lastly, perhaps the most insidious of all of them, was a protest chant supported by Mohammed Desai, the national coordinator of BDS in South Africa, and the speaker at the 2014 SJP National Convention. The chant that was yelled was "Shoot the Jew." To endorse this resolution is to endorse SJP's hateful ideology, which is antithetical to UCR values of supporting diversity, facilitating inclusion. This resolution is not just a local initiative, it's part of the larger boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. And I'm going to tell you a few problematic elements with the resolution itself. So, the first clause in the resolution states, whereas ASUCR is committed to diversity, justice, inclusion, fairness, and opposes racism, colonialism, and more, this resolution does not promote justice, human rights, or peace at UCR site or in the Middle East. While BDS brands itself as a movement for justice, its ultimate goal is the elimination of Israel and the violation of Jewish rights. It was made clear in the speech that we heard earlier about SJP's constitution. Another grossly inaccurate part of this resolution is the third clause. The Strauss Group, a parent company to the Sabra Dipping Company, LLC, is a company that is known to have considerable ties with the Israeli military. However, the Strauss Group's ties to the Israeli military consist of funds designated for welfare, cultural and educational activities, and pocket money for underprivileged soldiers. So these are sports and recreational equipment, care packages, and books and games. If this justifies a boycott, then every food company that sends a care package to American service members should be included in this resolution. Lastly, the ninth whereas clause stated that 239 UC faculty have signed a petition spearheaded by Jewish Voices for Peace condemning consideration of the State Department definition of anti-Semitism, which conflates the critique that Israeli state policy with bigotry and discrimination against Jews. This is a clause, classic, and it's a classic example of tokenization. The State Department definition of anti-Semitism is a definition that was created by leaders in the Jewish community it's been accepted widely by mainstream Jewish organizations across the world. This includes the Anti-Defamation League, which is the leading organization fighting anti-Semitism globally. So on the other hand, numerous polls have shown that JVP represents only a tiny minority of the Jewish community, while a tiny minority of any community using them to silence the voices of the vast majority, that's tokenization, a tactic racists often use to gain legitimacy. It's not for SJP to decide what constitutes anti-Semitism. This resolution aims to silence the voices of countless students on this campus, including myself, who have personally experienced and spoken out against anti-Jewish hatred within the UC system, reducing them to nothing more than external pro-Israel interests. This is deeply offensive and a violation of our core values as UCR students. Hateful boycott campaigns like this one are not the answer, and we cannot let this divisive resolution take and tear our community apart. ASUCR representatives, I ask tonight that you reject this campaign of hate and vote no, or at least abstain. Thank you.
How much time do we have?
You have 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
Thank you. Let me start off with a quote. In a short time, a large number of Jews are going to be slaughtered. Their heads are going to be blown off from the shrapnel. There's a lot of shrapnel. There's going to be a bloodbath that's going to take place in a short time. I think I've told you enough. I must go. This was not a quote from 1930 Germany, nor was it a quote from 1980 Soviet Union. This was a bomb that made 2 weeks ago to 17 Jewish community centers around the United States. Threats like this have been made to dozens of Jewish centers 3 separate times over the past month, and threats have been carried out. According to the FBI in November, more than half of all religiously motivated hate crimes in this country have targeted Jews. I have the source right here. Let me repeat. More than half of the religiously motivated hate crimes in America have targeted a group that makes up literally 1.4% of the American population. As an Orthodox Jew, my religion is something that is very visible to those I encounter on campus, in class, in the library, and just walking around. I want others in my community to feel free to express their Jewishness without fear while pursuing their education. I fear that this resolution will create an atmosphere where that freedom will be threatened. UCR is a school that prides itself on its openness and diversity, but how can we be proud when there are students here who are frightened to express themselves and their religious affiliation in public? That someone will be unable to wear kippah, the thing you see in my head, or to see these fringes you see I wear, out of fear of being persecuted is downright terrifying in this day and age. So we cannot let this divisive resolution tear our community apart. ASUCR representatives, I ask you here tonight to reject this campaign of hate and vote no, or at the very least abstain from voting on this resolution. Thank you.
You have 1 minute and 13 seconds.
Good evening to the members of the Senate and students here assembled. I want to thank you for your time and attention. We are here today to discuss the resolution on whether or not we should banish Sabra hummus from the Scotty shelves. No matter what we say at the end of this meeting, the senators will decide if the resolution will pass or not. The job of the senators is to be the undergraduate voice for all students. In ASUCR's Constitution preamble, it states as follows: to represent and articulate our rights to a voice in campus governance by fostering recognition of the rights of students and providing a forum to articulate and represent the views and interests of students. However, if the senators decide to pass this resolution, they will not be representing the views and interests of students who believe deeply in creating lasting peace between Israel and Palestinians. My greatest hope is to see Jews and Palestinians live side by side. Having senators take us out on a hateful resolution is imbalanced and not purview of this government. At the core of this resolution, we are not debating the morality of hummus, but of the boycott of Israel. I see Israel as a beacon of light, as being the only democracy in the Middle East. As a Jew, I'm proud that just recently, Israel granted asylum to 100 Syrian orphans escaping the Syrian civil war. However, my fellow Highlanders on the other side of the aisle, they see Israel as a symbol of hate and oppression. We must realize, though, is what Executive Vice President Chow said at the end of last week's discussion: we are all Highlanders. Fellow Highlanders and members of the Senate.
Thank you so much.
Hi all. I have a lot to counter, so I'm just going to try to go through it really fast. But first, what I want to say is that I want to tell you all to vote with your conscience and recognize fundamentally where each side's argument is coming from. We've tried our best to focus on actual stipulations and readings from the actual resolution inform you of the horrific human rights situation on the ground. We're not trying to distract you with statements like Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, which is not even true, because a couple other countries, as well as their spring aren't democracies as well. However, just like with the divestment resolution 3 years ago, our opponents are making distractive arguments that are intended to sound neutrally questioning specific clauses, phrases, and are combined with accusations that we in SJP are deliberately trying to mislead and lie to you. The fundamental purpose of these arguments are to confuse senators into thinking that they don't know what they're voting on. For example, like we heard last Senate meeting, all 5 of the alternative facts that we heard were referring to only one clause that were ironically taken out of the resolution by the time he was already reading it. Therefore, like I said last meeting, it couldn't have been actually intended to mislead you. So the next thing I want to talk about is how Sabra's, the accusation that Sabra's ties to the Israeli military are indirect. I want to say that this is also something that we never denied. Of course they're indirect. The only way they could have been direct is if the Israeli military was the one themselves selling you Sabra hummus and Scotties, which is what we were never saying. Today, corporate enterprises, especially in the food industry, are highly centralized and have multiple subsidiary companies. There's a report in 2013 that showed that 90% of what you buy in a grocery store comes from only 10 companies. So Sabra is no exception to this rule. It has a parent company, and that's what the argument is that we were trying to make. That's indirect. It's not very significant. It's in a rule with like many other food companies that, especially apparently 90% of them, if you walk into a grocery store. So the parent company, and as you can see on the screen, the Strauss Group is what we're referring to, is the primary donor to the Israeli military. That was never hidden from you. We were not trying to mislead you. So next, I want to talk about the second part of the resolution, which is putting Sabra hummus into the context of UC policy, and that's condemning administrative repression of pro-Palestine activists. So our general point here is that UC policy has been clearly influenced by pressure and propaganda blitzes from pro-Israel groups to take every action they can to silence pro-Palestine activists on campus. The main thing that's significant about this is that the pro-Israel groups that have been pressuring them with propaganda and news articles and whatnot are mainly mainly external to the UC. So 200, like I said, actually another speaker just mentioned, 240 faculty said the UC Regents and President's consideration of a bill that, of a statement of intolerance that attempted to silence all criticism of Israel by saying anti-Zionism is essentially anti-Semitism. That was from within the UC community. And like I said last meeting, there are several other examples of this as well, such as charging students at Irvine who made a very simple and innocent political act that was not a criminal act, which they were treated very harshly for and expelled from campus for 1 quarter, only after there was external pressure. So that's what we're saying in regards to Sabra. It was taken off the shelves here for 2 weeks, and only after external pressure forced the UC and was calling this, a support of terrorism, calling our president, inspired by Islamic Jew hatred, which is ironic because she was a Palestinian Christian. There were many things. There were many things about external pressure that have basically twisted the UC's hand to make decisions. So that's the other thing we're asking you to say. Not just that it's unethical, that human rights violations are basically being funded by sales at the UC, but also that you're standing with fellow students to say that you're not going to allow your fellow students to be bullied by external pressure, which has a consistent record of influencing UC policy.
Last week, the opposing side brought up the idea of focusing on more important issues. I would just like to point out the fact that my board has been some of the most prominent social justice activists on this campus. In fact, I've met most of my board members at social justice events regarding things besides Palestine. I met my events coordinator, Dina, while we were campaigning for CalPERG, and just last year, she was president of CalPERG. My vice president, Armin, has led numerous protests on campus pertaining to a multitude of issues. In fact, I find it ironic that the tuition hike protest was used against us last week because Armin was a primary organizer of that protest. We stood with our brothers and sisters during the Black Lives Matter protest on campus. We all participated in the No Dapple protest here, where I gave a statement of solidarity on behalf of SGP, the only other organization to do so. We were among the organizers of the No Ban, No Wall protest yesterday. That being said, the argument that we are wasting time by only caring about Palestine is about the last argument you want to make when you are talking about my organization. An argument based on being a so-called champion for human rights when presence is only noted when illegally constructed borders and privilege are called out is invalid. I want to emphasize to the fullest extent that the students who support this resolution have been among the most dedicated and consistent advocates of issues affecting students in our university system. Sabra Hummus is being one of many. To tell these senators that we have more important issues to focus on as you hand out your hierarchy of personal opinions is an insult to the senators and to this campus. That might work in a colonial apartheid state, but that will not work at UCR, a campus known to promote diversity, and senators we voted to represent that. White privilege does not work on this campus. Humanity and solidarity does. We will not be told when or where we can help end the occupation and cleansing Palestinians. Innocent people are dying, homes are being destroyed, and a culture is being erased. We're tired of oppression, we're tired of our lives holding no value, we're tired of living in fear. Safe to say, minorities are exhausted. We will not be silent. I will no longer stand for someone telling me what is or isn't important when it does not affect them but the oppressor. As the opposing side so conveniently mentioned last week, this resolution will not magically bring peace. The IDF will find the money to fund their oppression. I regretfully agree. But to say just because injustice will happen regardless, so it doesn't matter, well, that's where you're wrong. As president of this organization, I will not allow you to normalize an occupation of a people and tell me how unimportant this resolution should be and how we should focus on more important issues in an attempt to promote your profit over humanity perspective as you delegitimize our struggle.
I just want to emphasize one of the points that was made earlier, that outside pressures have been involved in a lot of these scenarios. So very recently, in fact like just a few days ago, SJP has been targeted because of this very resolution. So there is a Facebook page called SJP Uncovered, which is essentially a propaganda page on Facebook created solely to target student groups and expose our activism. And they posted about Sabra Hummus, our organization, our campus, and this resolution just a few days ago. If this resolution is as unimportant and as irrelevant to our campus as they have been saying, then why are these external pressures taking such lengths to target our students, to target our organization, and to focus on hummus? Also, this hasn't been the only form of targeted propaganda against pro-Palestinian student activists, because something as small as tweets opposing the Israeli occupation or passing a resolution such as this one can create enough pressure for students to be put on blacklists, which has happened to many of our previous presidents, to many pro-Palestine organizers that we know of. They're put on blacklists, which end up affecting their job prospects in the future. And when you Google their name, that's what comes up. They're called terrorists, they're called terrorist sympathizers, and that's also extremely Islamophobic. I also just want to talk about the intersectionality of Palestinian oppression. So, the occupation of native lands, that is a direct connection to the indigenous Native American struggle here. With unethical investments, G4S, the same corporation that was contracted to build the apartheid wall that exists separating Israel and Palestine, is the same corporation that was contracted to build the US-Mexico border. With issues of police brutality, Palestinians on the ground are often faced with heavy force from the police forces, from the IDF on a daily basis. And the actual Israeli, the intelligence agencies and the forces that train their police forces are the same ones that train the LAPD, the Baltimore PD, and Chicago PD, which have been called out for mass acts of violence against the Black community. On environmental racism, the lack of access to water on the Gaza Strip. Water was cut off earlier last year during Ramadan, the holy month of fasting. And that is a direct connection to Flint, Chicago, and many other cities that have a lack of access to clean water, as well as the no-dapple movement. So don't see this just as a single issue. Don't see this just as something that we're bringing up and something that's only relevant to our community. This is something that is facing a lot of different communities and has connections to a lot of different struggles going on right now. Thank you.
Well, my name is Ahmad Hazaman. I'm a third-year chemical engineer. Now, whether other schools have stopped Sabra or not, I am proud Highlander, and being a Highlander means being a leader. We don't wait for others to do the right thing because we have Highlanders set the example. We are leaders in respecting life and supporting growth. You've heard yourselves from some of the pro-Sabra members that injustices are being committed against the Palestinian people. We want to be the voices of the voiceless and speak for the children who were silenced. All we hope is that you don't allow the silencing to continue. Thank you.
6 seconds.
That's not.
My name's Sean. It's not a complex matter. That's the only thing I really want to say. It's simple. They funded phosphorus bombs and our kids. So.
So now we've concluded with both sides having 10 minutes. We'll move on to questions from the Senate. We will alternate. So we'll do Michael's side first, and then we'll do Armand's side. Okay? So at this moment in time, I'm going to open up the speakers list. And if you have a question regarding Michael's side, please put your hand up. This is for Michael. Wait. Give me a second. You have a question too? Okay. So I'm going to open up a speaker list, close the speaker list, do it for the other side, and then we're going to alternate. Does that make sense? You can be on the speaker list once. So Senator Cole.
How you?
Just kidding. Senator Lemon. Huh? You still have a question? Yeah. Okay. No, that's not. I'm saying your name.
Does it have to be directed specifically towards him or anyone who's
Anyone who spoke.
Okay.
So, Senator Lee, did you still have your question? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I'm going to leave the speaker list open, just in case you all have another question that comes to mind. We'll go on to Armand's side. Anyone? Questions? Yeah? Okay. Anyone else? If not, we will start with Senator Lebon's question.
So it was regarding to the poll that was handed out. I was wondering how many people participated because I found the number of
Okay. So for the poll that was handed out, what was the statistics behind how many people participated in that vote, in that ballot? Or
I'm sorry?
what was the ballot? It was the poll that was handed out to us. Do you know how many people participated in that poll?
About a little bit over 1,000 Israelis, including both Israeli Jews and Israeli Arabs, and over 1,000 Palestinians, including those both in Gaza and in the West Bank.
Does that answer your question? Thank you. Moving on to our second question, which is from Senator Cole.
I guess, can someone better explain how, by passing this resolution, people from Israel feel further isolated on our campus? Can I just have more information in regards to that?
That's a leading question,
Yeah,
so that's presenting you information on the
It
table.
was specifically said that it will isolate their community, and that was literally their language.
What was the question?
I thought we were going back and forth.
Yeah, so they just said it, he's asking which side. Are you asking, which side are you asking?
Their side.
Okay, this was Armand's side. So, do you all have a question regarding for them? Okay, but you do have a question for this side, so is it okay if he asks the question to this side? Because there's no other question for them.
So there's no more questions for that side.
No more question. I'm going to close the speakers list.
So your question was what?
So, what was brought up in your language, I believe, kind of specifically referred to the fact that, passing resolutions such as this will isolate the community. Right? I want to get more information about how tangibly the community will be isolated.
Thank you. Well, it's a good question. So on Wednesday, last Wednesday, when there was a joint event between Hillel and Chabad on campus, someone walked by and to our rabbi, who, if anyone knows, a rabbi is the community, he basically represents the Jewish community on campus, and said, "Fuck Israel, fuck you, and fuck your hummus." So that's pretty painful to hear, first of all, and that feels very isolating, and it's not something that I would want to feel on this campus for anyone. So that's one of the things that causes a lot of pain. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much. Do you all have any other questions for either set? So, okay.
So,
Yeah, we'll ask it first and then we'll decide.
so it was brought to my attention earlier that it would be. Hello. Okay. So it was brought to my attention earlier that it would be very liked. Hello.
Just project.
Hello. Okay. So it was brought to my attention earlier that from one side that it would be nice, or it would be nice if there was like a joint discussion between two groups or between both groups, and like as if it wasn't happening yet. And so I was wondering from both sides, like if you're willing to have a joint discussion and to talk about like the issue at hand. So it's not just made, so the decision isn't just made by 16 people. So I just wanted to get, so my question is from like both sides, are you guys willing to have a joint discussion talking about the issue at hand? Yeah, just to like make sure that there's no bias or whatsoever. I just want to have like both sides talking about like what they want to see on this campus and how we can find a solution. So I just want to know like what solutions do you guys see that you guys can have common ground to, in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. So we're actually going to start with Armand, you all, because you all have not answered the question yet. So we'll begin with you all, and then we'll go to them.
Do I use the mic?
Oh yeah, let me turn off this one.
Does it work? Okay. So thanks for the question.
You have 1 minute for the question.
Earlier they were saying that they came to us for discussion. I'm the president, and I have never received any notification of wanting discussion at all. And the reason that we are unwilling to go and promote and go to them ourselves is because every time we have an event or we hold a protest on campus or anything in that regard, there is always a counter Facebook event that's literally just attacking ours. We do not feel welcome. So for them to come and say that they're the ones who come for it, for them to come and say that they are the ones who are wanting the discussion is completely false and has no basis. I'm the president, I'm the point of contact, and I have received no notification.
Also, last meeting I said that I'd be willing to do that. I said like I would be okay with dialogue and I'd totally be okay with that. However, I think I also mentioned that it's very easy to say that dialogue is the real solution rather than an end of oppression, rather than an end of occupation, rather than an end of bombing, because you're not in an oppressed position.
You have 1 minute right when you start talking.
Senators, and thank you, Senator Moore, for your questions. So like I mentioned in my speech last week, we do like the idea of a dialogue tent to get to talking with the other group to see, because there's a lot of miscommunication on what's happening. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we just want peace in the Middle East and here on our campus. I'd love to sit down with the other members on the other side and actually get to this conversation and start talking about what the real issues are. When trying to talk with SJP, they're very anti-normalization, and they do not want to even reach out to our side and have a conversation with us. One of our Hillel members reached out to the two leading members of SJP, and apparently they refused their request to speak out. I personally don't want to talk to them, but according to one of our members, that is what happened.
18 seconds.
President Hillel here. I would just like to say that SJP was not us. We don't know who did that represent us. And secondly, I would, again, love to have a dialogue. I said that last week, I say it this week, and I will keep on saying it until I cannot speak anymore. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, you may have a follow-up. Yes.
So like based on those answers, this isn't really a question, but based on those answers, no matter what happens, however we vote, I believe that this discussion should start tomorrow, today, tonight, like, and I think like all of ASUCR saying like we'd be willing to like start this discussion with all of us so everyone can like have a voice and have a say. And, yeah.
Any other questions?
Not a question, but a comment. Or am I not?
We're gonna do a question first, and then we'll go to the comment. Okay? Okay. Question for both, or?
Yeah, I guess for both, it's really interesting that people keep talking about how we want peace in the Middle East, how we want peace in the Middle East, and we want to cooperate on both sides. But I feel like what I'm hearing I'm hearing very different positions, specifically about how one group said this will not help Palestine or Palestinian students whatsoever. If students who are Palestinian here believe it will help them, help their mental state, help their release their pressure on their families, how can not banning Sabra on campus not help their group? Can people from this side specifically further expand on that?
I just want to say that's a leading question.
Wait. Just to follow time purposes.
Sorry.
Okay. So, is that a question for both sides, or? I guess not. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah, so it's for Michael's side. Okay, so Julia, you're going to be answering it? Okay. Do you want to come up here, or are you going to stay there?
I'm just going over here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Barely. Yeah, it's not necessarily an answering, but more of an objecting. That's a leading question, and I thought we weren't going to do that this week, so.
Perfect, thank you for catching that. Okay,
Definition for
I think that's presenting separation on the table, in which case, because that was not technically something that was.
I literally took notes. One student said this will not help Palestine.
Yeah, but I think if we were to ask why, then that's them presenting them new information of why not. It's.
So can they say why they said that?
Yeah, so.
It's not a leading question in the law.
One of the points that was made, so how is that like not a leading question?
It could be both ways, do you know what I mean? It could totally be a clarification question, but I could totally be presenting you with, okay, well, this is why I said this, and prevent you with new background. Does that sort of make sense why I'm sort of hesitant right now?
Is it okay if we let you guys go because his last question was about to go?
About will Israel feel, like if they're gonna feel outcasted on campus and stuff and isolated on campus, that's a leading question. And they had an opportunity to answer it. That is a leading question.
I mean, Shami, would you like an opportunity to rephrase your question?
Please. I guess, in a way for clarification purposes, why was it said that this will not help Palestinian students on campus or help Palestine?
So, if that question, I guess, is leading or not leading, if there is sort of bias on this, Senate, would you all be okay with him asking the question?
The first question. This one, the one you just asked.
The one he just asked. What did you say?
Which speaker said that?
So, which
The young man, Mike. One of the young fellow male students.
Oh, okay. Do you remember who said it? One of the young male.
I think with the black suit. I think.
Black suit? Who was the one that, which set are you asking?
That short-term memory kind of crazy.
You have to know which speaker said it in order to ask the question clarifying. Because I didn't speak, so I can't.
Did anybody sign in? When they spoke?
We'll look through the minutes.
I mean, if no one can provide that,
Why did they?
We're second to last.
Good question. I know.
Point of order, can we not have dialogue?
If you're looking for lunch, do it now.
Order.
Sorry.
Jamie, Senator Cole, can you please ask the question once more?
So the question is, it was said, and this is for clarification purposes, that this resolution will not help Palestinian students or Palestine. Can you please provide clarification on why that is?
So we're gonna look through the minutes right now.
Oh, Ira? Ira? Is that Ira? Oh,
Do you remember who said it,
I believe it was the gentleman with the black jacket. He also,
What's it? What that's it?
Gentleman with black
yes,
jacket.
had a.
Yes, you. So sorry.
Yeah, I believe so.
So you have a minute to respond.
You can look at my speech. I didn't say it. It doesn't end there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No problem.
Explain what happened.
Okay, we're gonna go to you so you can
Take a recess.
Yeah, recess.
Okay, order, yes. Interim Acting President Gomez.
Thank you. Can I ask a? Thank you. Can I ask a question from the SJP side?
Yeah.
I wanna. I mean, what's defined as a leading question?
Ask the question and we'll decide.
Okay. What the use of the word dialogue has been thrown around a lot, and I just want to know why you have allegedly rejected said dialogue with the. So I just want to know. I just get this clarification.
Yeah. So these are clarification questions.
I want to clarify. I want to add some clarity
So
as
you
to
have
why.
to give proof of who said it and what are you clarifying?
Ms. Armand. So there was a question that was asked by Senator Moore, so sorry, that was talking about dialogue, I guess. Were you asking more so of a clarity of their response?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And if that, I don't want to make this meeting drag on longer than it needs to, so I'll just withdraw my questions.
Okay, thank you. Did you find the question that you needed, Senator Cole?
No, I don't.
Are there any other questions? If not, yes, you can definitely motion for a recess. So you need
It's
to.
a motion for a recess.
You need to recess. Yeah. Seven. Okay. So yes. Yeah, Senator Claude. So we're going to motion for a recess for 7 minutes. There is a second on the table. Senator Enzaribe. If there is no, all in favor? All opposed? Any abstain? With a vote of 13-0-0, we will be 12-0-1. Sorry. With a vote of 12-0-1, we will reconjoin at 7:54. So, Senator.